deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Weezy, card 3.
Hey, welcome to the show, Smoke the Competition. I'm your host, Eric Sojash. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel. You can follow us on Twitter at Sojash Sports. Today's episode, I want to break down the Thursday night football game. We got the New York Giants traveling to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers. This should have been a battle of two of the top running backs in the NFL with Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey on slate. Unfortunately, Barkley suffered that high ankle sprain. He won't be able to partake in the game. That's the bad news. The good news is the Giants have another top running back. He plays quarterback by the name of Daniel Jones. He'll be in the game today. I'm sure he'll have a lot of big runs planned, and we'll get to see how he does. So stay tuned. Enjoy the show. Let's go. The first thing I want to do is break down those fantasy lineups. Let's have a look at who you should be starting. Now, the first player I want to break down in tonight's matchup for fantasy purposes is the Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones. Typically, I do view Daniel as a pretty good start to a must start on a week-to-week basis just because of his dual threat ability. However, without his top ace, Saquon Barkley, and going against its vaunted defense, I see him as a risky start and a risky play here. I would go with some other options. I don't see him finishing as anything higher than a top 17 quarterback for this week. Now, the one player I do see as a good start for the New York Giants in the Thursday night game is tight end Darren Waller. This guy's a mismatch all over the field. Daniel Jones' favorite target, the one receiving threat that he has that's healthy, without any hamstring issues. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I do see Darren Waller having a good game tonight. Probably catches somewhere around 6 or 7 passes for 70 yards and hopefully finds his way into the end zone. Now, one player we do have to discuss in tonight's game is running back Matt Breida. He'll be replacing Saquon Barkley. That's going to give him a lot of volume and opportunity. However, I see him as a huge risk. This is not a good matchup. Fred Warner's on the other side of the ball, and he's going to be coming downhill. I wouldn't want to start Breida unless you have no choice. And if you have to get him in your lineups, full PPR league is the way to go. Probably catches 3 or 4 passes, and he might spring one of those screens for a big one. Now, at wide receiver, we're going to have a look at Isaiah Hodgins, another player I'm seeing as a risky start. He did catch a touchdown last week. It was a big one to help the Giants in their big comeback versus the Arizona Cardinals. Congrats to him. I don't know if that is going to keep the momentum rolling over in tonight's matchup against the 49ers. Like I said, this is going to be a very tough defense to move the ball against. The best bet is to move it on the ground, short passes. I don't see him catching a touchdown, which is the only thing that really boosts his fantasy upside. I would look elsewhere in fantasy for sure. All right, so the last receiver for the New York Giants we're going to have a look at here is rookie speed demon Jalen Hyatt. Once again, I wouldn't want to run him in my starting lineup for tonight's game against this defense. However, he is an interesting stash. Put him on your benches. Let's see if he can catch a couple more splash plays. I do think they need to get him involved, not just want, but need to get him involved to take this offense to another level. Hyatt's got the talent. Let's keep an eye on him, but I wouldn't play him. He is a risky play. Look to stash him. All right, moving over to the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to have a look at their quarterback, Brock Purdy. I see him as a good start this week. He's going against a defense that hasn't had a single sack or a takeaway. I don't see them getting either of those this week against this dominant 49ers offense. He's got all the weapons in the world to play with, and he knows exactly how to distribute the ball to them. Now, one thing I do find interesting about the Brock Purdy narrative is that some people question this guy's toughness or like if he's the real deal. Hey, his name is Brock, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever met a man named Brock that didn't have toughness and grit to him? Don't let the Purdy and the Purdy face fool you. This guy's for real. 49ers are for real. Shanahan is for real. Get him in your lineups. I don't think the ceiling is too high because the matchup is not going to be too challenging, but the floor is definitely safe. Next player we're going to discuss is 49ers superstar running back Christian McCaffrey. This one's pretty easy, pretty obvious. He's the number one player in fantasy. You got to get him in. It's pretty safe. You don't have to worry. He's probably going to give you 20 fantasy points. Christian McCaffrey, get him in your lineups and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Another player I see as a must start is wide receiver number 19, Deebo Samuel. Now I know he's been a little up and down lately with the emergence of Brandon Ayuk. However, with this matchup, Deebo should get his. I could see him getting a rushing touchdown, if not a receiving as well. I think he's a fairly safe play. There's no one on the Giants defense that really scares you and that can put a lock on Deebo. So put him in your starting lineups, feel comfortable, and enjoy the Thursday night show. The next San Francisco wide receiver I see as a must start is number 11, Brandon Ayuk. Now this guy is arguably the number one wide receiver in this offense. His route running ability, it's elite. The man knows how to separate. It's just you can't guard him one-on-one. You got to get a safety over the top or a linebacker underneath. Now there is some injury reports going on with him, so keep an eye on that before you get him in your lineups. But if he is good to go, they say he's ready to start, put him in your lineups and feel confident about it. All right, and finishing up with tight end, we got George Kittle. I see him as a good start. Him and Purdy have a pretty good rapport. The only reason Kittle hasn't really taken off so far is just they haven't had a need to. Now, the 49ers probably won't have a need to throw too much in the Thursday night game either. However, there's a good rapport with Purdy. Like I said, I can see Kittle catching a touchdown. He's a safe start. The tight end landscape is not that deep, so if you have George Kittle, you got to play him. Put him in your lineups, and let's hope for a touchdown. So, who gets the win and by how much? I got to ride with the San Francisco 49ers at home. -10, big spread. I can see them winning by even more. The Giants just don't seem like a team that's ready for this season. There's something missing in that offense. They start way too slow. 49ers come out like gangbusters. They're going to build a lead. Kyle Shanahan knows how to exploit all your weaknesses. I'm taking the 49ers at home, -10. Let's go. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Give us a follow. Once again, subscribe to the channel. I'm Eric Sojash. Peace, love. Let's continue to smoke the competition.
Deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Weezy. Card 3, sensation.